Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm John Lincove.
I'm Jennifer Stockberger.
I'm Joe Veslak.
And this week, we're going to be talking about the Jeep Compass, which is right now the only small SUV in the Jeep lineup because both the Renegade and Cherokee were dropped previously. So the Compass has to do double duty as a compact SUV as well as a subcompact SUV. You may be wondering why we're talking about it because in 2023, there are actually some changes. So yeah, there were some thoughts of, is the Compass going away? There were plans for a redesigned one. So in 2023, Jeep gave the Compass a 200 horsepower, 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, paired it with 8-speed automatic transmission, and gave it standard all-wheel drive. So a couple, not every SUV in that category gets standard all-wheel drive, so that's sort of like a selling point for them.
Some in that category don't get all-wheel drive at all.
That's true. The
Yes.
subcompact category, yep, a lot of them are front only.
Yep.
So like I was saying, there is going to be a next generation Compass, but it's based on a global platform, Stellantis, the parent company of Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Jeep, Chrysler, et cetera. But that's not coming to North America until 2026. The rest of the world's going to see it in 2025. So we said, you know what, with used car content that we have on consumerreports.org and in our magazine, and then also just having updated ratings, time to test the Compass with that new powertrain. Right. But Joe, you were in our pre-meeting, you were talking a little bit about it as the Compass gets this kind of halo effect, right?
Yeah.
And it's common.
Yeah. So I think, you feel like you're buying into the Jeep brand, the lifestyle, the driving experience.
Right.
And so when you're expecting to be driving something similar to a Jeep Grand Cherokee that actually drives pretty nice, rides well, steering's good, good power delivery.
Yeah, attractive and nice interior.
Yeah.
Best-selling Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Keep that to yourself.
Oh, okay.
For a second.
All right, you got that. Okay.
So yeah, you're led to it to believe that you might be buying, something that drives similar to a Grand Cherokee, but in this case, it's not the case here.
Yeah.
But there's a similar circumstances. We talked about the X1 or the X2 when you think you're getting an X3 or you're getting an X5 drivability or that driving experience. It's not there. It's just you're kind of buying the badge.
So yeah, certainly. I mean, we've seen it, not just from BMW, but we've seen it in a lot of our, particularly reliability data. You get the entry level model when the luxury in particular goes down, and they can't be both affordable and super comfortable. And that's not reliability. We've also just seen those lower end models just have had poor reliability. The luxury effect doesn't scale down very well.
No.
So yeah.
Or in this case, the Jeep effect.
Right. And it's got all the little logos and the little Sasquatch and the little Jeep crawling, the Easter eggs, if you will. Yeah. But Easter eggs don't make a good vehicle, But, there are a number of positives with it. We like hard controls to the climate system. Too many people or too many manufacturers throwing them into the touchscreen. Audio controls in the back of the steering wheel. Jeep, Stellantis, Chrysler, it's across the brand. They do that really well, I think, in a number of
I like that a lot. One of my favorite parts of the controls in Stellantis products.
And they've done it for years. It's something that they perfected. What's your guys' opinion on the passing power? You've driven it. It's sometimes you get a little peakiness and such. We could talk about that, but does it have the oomph to get down the road when you're cruising along? Sometimes there's big delays, etc.
Yes. So first of all, in comparison to other vehicles, it's not a super powerful powertrain, but compared to the outgoing Compass, so much better. Again, you said this went to a turbo, etc. That, to me, makes this a much more livable vehicle because you do have the power. We used words like lackadaisical response. So it was just mediocre power.
Right.
It's fine now. Yep. Again, it's not going to blow you away, but this is much more power than the outgoing and much, much better. Again, this Compass, the old Compass, was the lowest rated, and we're talking road test score, not reliability and safety and all that, but road test score in this class.
Yeah.
So it didn't do very well. So it had room to move for sure. I don't
certainly.
know if you agreed.
The old 2.4 was kind of a dog.
Yeah, short-winded. Yeah, I agree with everything Jen said. It does, it's an improvement on power, especially mid-range. I think it does, for most people and daily driving, it has enough power for what you need. I mean, we're kind of now with EVs and everything's so fast today that when you jump in a car that, is an improvement on the past, it still feels slow in comparison. But that being said, it's still adequate for today and, most driving situations. The transmission is where things start to, get hung up. And that's when you start, it's the power delivery. It's not getting the power when you need it or when you want it, especially in rolling stops, traffic, you're trying to pull out. And maybe timing that is kind of crucial. And sometimes that delayed downshift will throw you off and leave you a little stranded.
Yeah, we do see that often with these small turbo 4s. Even if it's got a hybrid, a powertrain or it's a plug-in hybrid, there is an odd transition in many vehicles. We're continuing. It's not a one-time thing.
And it is that rolling stop. Joe, you hit the nail on the head. It's that rolling stop where you then start again and it goes, oh man, what did you do? I don't know where I'm supposed to be. One other thing on this car too, transmission related, power delivery related, is the stop-start system. I am often tempted or physically do shut off the start-stops when they're very delayed, they're tugging on my steering wheel, whatever it is. This is really done well.
Yeah.
I had no temptation to shut off that stop-start system in this car.
Yeah, it seamlessly kicks in and quickly too. It's,
Yes.
You don't have that delay. You don't feel as if you really have to torque the wheel just to get the engine going.
The other thing too on the power delivery is I am always judging how comfortable am I jumping out into already moving traffic. And there are many cars where I'm like, this is a little disconcerting, not going to do that, or I'm going to leave a lot more room. Did not have that in this new Compass. Would have likely absolutely had it in the old.
Car I drove in today, and we won't talk about it, but it's up in the probably $70,000 range as a V6. And it's one of those, if you back out, it's very, very troublesome with that, but also just pulling out into traffic and, nosing out, especially at trying to get the kids to school. So there's a lot of people going the same direction and you try to pull through that. I don't want to be hung out when people are going 50 miles an hour coming towards.
You don't want to jump into that and go, oh, shoot.
Yep.
I can't get up to speed. Yeah, for sure.
A couple other places that we really like, we've talked about the stop-start. Uconnect, it's not necessarily riding on its laurels, but it was a good system for years. It's, we've seen some other systems maybe score better. But we do like the fact that on the home screen, it's got a nice ability to move with just touch and drag tiles in or features in, so you have a favorites area. But also just that screen, thankfully, is so big,
straightforward,
that it's not cluttered. Unlike recent small SUVs like the Alfa Romeo, the Tonale, and the Dodge Hornet.
Yeah,
very small screen, very cluttered, very hard to operate.
Yeah, and especially when you have a choppy ride and you're trying to land on the icons. Having more real estate is very nice.
Well,
and with that, Joe, does it have a choppy ride?
Who's hosting here? Hey! If you want to take the seat, that's totally cool. Joe, tell us about the Too Firm and Bouncy ride. Why don't you?
So that's pretty much it. In general, primary ride and body control is pretty good. Most, especially on just your normal smooth roads, everything's fine. But until you challenge it with some broken pavement, potholes, road joints, stuff like that, you're going to get it gets broken up and you get some rattles and vibrations. But its secondary ride is definitely falls short when it comes to broken roads.
And when you say body motions, I mean, just for people who may not speak our lingo, is it body lean or is it just
the
vertical?
Pitching, the vertical bouncing, any sort of side to side jostling, stuff like that stays well controlled. It has a firmer edge. So usually when you find vehicles that ride a little on the firmer side, usually they seem to have pretty good body control or primary ride. But which this does, but usually secondary ride, especially on those broken pavements, some of these back roads, it starts to get pretty busy and choppy.
I use the word unsettled. With repetitive disturbances like potholes or a rough road, it gets unsettled. But you're right. Normal, if you're on a relatively smooth road, it's fine.
Yeah, so the initial impact, okay. It's when it's really broken up and it has to do a lot of
I don't think most people really, critique the ride as harsh as we do, but when you're, stacking it against all these competitors, it's definitely an outlier.
No.
Definitely a livable car. You touched on something else, John, when you were talking about Uconnect too, is one thing I noticed, and this is a pretty pretty good price point for this compass is tailorability, which you said, and shortcuts. So there's some niceties in this compass that I think you don't always get at this price point. So I was like, oh, isn't that nice? I can have a tile of shortcuts.
Right.
Isn't this nice that I've heated steering wheel, heated seats? There were some,
much so.
I was like, oh, these are some, I was just talking to a colleague of ours in Yonkers, and what they said to me is, I need a list. They wanted to shop by amenities. They didn't care what the brand was. They didn't care what the powertrain was. What's the best car I can get heated seats in? What's the best car I can get Apple CarPlay? I was like, I've never thought that, we live and breathe the brand and model.
Right.
But this person just wanted heated seats and a heated steering wheel. It was very interesting to hear someone saying, I know it'll get me there. What I want the livability stuff.
Right.
The daily.
They're going to hold on to it for a long
Yes.
time. They want to have something that lives with
Very
them.
interesting.
Yeah.
For-
Sustains with their lifestyle.
Yep. Well, and it's features, you talk about that, but it's also features such as, the aforementioned all-wheel drive, but also some like blind spot warning and rear cross traffic
gonna
warning.
say all that,
You know,
yeah.
standard. You're not getting
Jinx.
you're not getting that on a, Toyota RAV4, not Subaru Forester, not, so these are some, vehicles that score high in our road tests.
Yep.
And they have good reliability, so they score high. They get those added points, but they do get knocked because they don't have those standard equipment.
Correct.
The Jeep does it'll get extra points when we test it and score it.
Yep.
Some of the other things we found just in our first drive and stuff about it, such as seat comfort and fit and finish.
Yeah, it has some niceties for sure. You do feel, I always go back to, do you feel you're getting what you paid for? And I think you do.
Okay.
I think you do in this car. It has some stitching, has some padded surfaces. Some of the touch surfaces are not padded. Oddly, they'll pad the front of the dash, but not the door handle. So it's an interesting mix, but you do get that sense when you get in, like, oh, I've gotten something for my $30,000 in this car.
We do have a limit. We do have a limited. We're testing a limited trim, which is one of the the high. It's kind of the highest because the other high trim that's only a few $100s more is a off-road.
Yeah.
Trailhawk. So that's
More the luxury trim.
It's like a luxury, and it's a very niche-y vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, looks aside, people aren't going off-road a ton, particularly in a Compass.
Again, features you might not get in other vehicles at this price point.
Certainly. We did see a couple of things, Joe. A couple other things that were, maybe not particularly great.
So the engine's noisy, and even though 200 horsepower, it's an improvement from the 180, you're still you'll find moments where you maybe feel like you're wringing its neck, like getting onto an on-ramp or, heavy acceleration. And that's when you'll notice some of that, there's coarseness in the engine and some vibrations under acceleration. And it could be more refined.
Yeah.
I said, it's almost when you first start it, even from the moment you power on, it's pretty rough, even just sitting there at idle. It's almost diesel-like sounding.
There's some clatter to it.
Even when you start it. And I would be remiss if I didn't say my turbo whistle. You know immediately that you have a turbo now because you can hear it.
It almost seems like it's enhanced for some reason to sound sporty or sounds, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they would enhance that if Jeep did. It's just really omnipresent, I guess is the word. We found that the seat was something where everyone said it's okay, but I didn't think that it was narrow enough. I didn't think it was firm enough. Lumbar pressure point, there wasn't side bolstering. So really mixed opinions on the seat. That's something, if you're going to go drive it, really make sure that, test it. And we'll get down the road to recommending or not recommending, when we test the car. But, with anything, make sure that the people who are going to be driving it actually really sit in the seat, not just one person, because every seat doesn't fit everyone the same way.
I have a question on this seat in particular. Head restraint. It is for safety reasons, it's really good. It is very far forward.
Pronounced, yeah.
It's very pronounced. I kind of liked it because it is very comfortable. It's got some give to it. And the closer that head restraint can be from a safety standpoint, from a rear impact, the better, but it's present. I found myself reclining a bit more than I normally do to kind of get it away a little bit.
So I'd like to know Joe's opinion, because Joe, you sit much more reclined than I do. I sit much more vertical, and then
I sit upright as well.
I get in a car after you, and I'm like, pull the seat up. So how was it for you?
So I'm kind of fine with a much more tightly knit, with confined spaces or in a tight, cockpit.
Yeah.
So I don't mind feeling snugged in. I like that as long as I can reach it, especially as if I can reach everything. That's almost more important to me when I have all the controls within reach, the steering wheel, adjustability, rather than feeling the confinement. Doesn't bother me as much. But
I felt the head restraint.
Yeah.
I think you get used to it, but
and this is
and you can't push it forward. Some of them, they have the adjustability vertically and on a horizontal plane. This one you can't, but it really, I guess the only thing you could say is people might unnaturally raise it high so that the lower part, which isn't as pronounced, rests there, and then is that defeating it?
Yeah. And we've brought up here just anecdotally, male, female, if you got a ponytail or a barrette or something, you're going to feel it. It's a funny, strange.
Back of that.
Yeah, you're going to hit it.
In terms of the head restraint, for me, I never have issues with any of them. Yeah. I never am coming either leaning back or however, if you're saying that, but position and all that stuff's not really an issue. But I never run into issues with the head restraints like some of you.
Because you're reclined probably. Yeah.
There's a couple other places, we dinged it in our first drive evaluation where we put 2,000 miles on it. We break in the engine, break in the tires. Inconsistent fit and finish. For as nice as it is.
That's what I would say, yeah.
The turn signal, the stock quality is very plasticky, cheap feeling, or it feels almost as if you're going to snap it off. The sound for the directional, this isn't something that's going to kill the score or whatever.
It is funny.
It is the worst. It's
what I said? When you break a relay in an old car and it gets really fast?
Yes.
I went, oh my God.
I thought I had a light bulb out.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so loud. And it's been a Stellantis thing. There's a couple other the recent cars have this same sound. What's also kind of maddening is that if you do the soft D10 to just blink for three, usually it's 3 turns, 3 blinks so you can change the lane instead of turning it all the way. It does like for 5 or 6.
Yeah. So you're
it's
trying
just
to
extra.
go back and forth.
And you think you left it on.
Yeah,
so then
exactly.
You won't leave it on with that sound.
It's so loud and annoying.
Loud. Yeah.
Weird little logos. I mean, going back to the whole thing with the Easter eggs, there's these tiny little logos that look identical for open and close with the vents.
Yeah.
So if you're going to spend all the time doing Easter eggs, put a logo on there that you can read at a quick glance. It's minor, but it's sort of like, these are little things. These are just little things.
Would you say it looks better than it behaves in terms of fit and finish? You get a good sense when you get in, but when you start to use it, it maybe isn't as great as it looks.
I'm actually okay with it.
Good.
Aside, if the turn signal sound was normal, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a little over the top.
Yeah. Okay.
But one thing here that has been near universal, the backup camera.
Yeah.
Joe, give us a little bit what's going on with that.
You feel like it's got sunglasses on or something when you go in reverse. Yeah, exactly. At night, that's.
Do you want me to sing? I won't.
Very, very poor nighttime performance. You feel like you can't rely on it. So you get back to traditional mirrors and actually maybe checking before you get in your vehicle. That's what I do. Sure. But there's definitely some performance issues there, which I would assume is an equipment thing that could be.
And that would be an interesting to find out, what is it? Is it just low quality camera? Is it software? Is something? I mean, on our first drive on consumerreports.org, there's an image that one of the testers took from their drive at night. And, we were joking about it in the sense of you have to ride your brake pedal to illuminate whatever you can behind and maybe bounce it off a house or a building behind you just to get some kind of depth perception, to see anything, because you're literally blind, and it's extra checking.
And cameras in general, forward, rearward, have gotten so good that this one kind of stands out.
Yeah, it really does stand out.
In not a good way. Yeah.
So how does this sell, and kind of why? I mean, it's not a RAV4, it's not a Honda CR-V, in those numbers, those are some big sellers.
Yep.
What about Compass and in the Jeep world?
So one thing is I think this price point is necessary. It's such a big segment, and there's such a range of prices. I mean, if you look at the Toyota RAV4 Prime, which is the top rated in that category, it's $18,000 more than this Compass.
Right.
And I really think this is a necessary place to be. It will be the lowest priced for that compact SUV category. And I think we need it for new drivers, first-time buyers, teen drivers. I think it's a really necessary price point. With that said, this is a crazy competitive segment. Just to give you a sense, of the 32 currently rated compact SUVs that Consumer Reports has rated, 26 of them, admitted some of them are powertrain variants of the same model, are recommended. There's only a handful that are not. So that just tells you a lot of attention is paid. And we're talking things like you said, RAV4, CRV, et cetera.
Hyundai Tucson.
Some get close, price point. Equinox, Forester, Tucson, Sportage. But again, these are some really high volume, very high attention from the manufacturers to what those models do and how they operate. So it's a tough place to be.
And in those numbers, I mean, I don't have your, I don't have the ratings list that you're looking at, but remember, Subaru Forester redesigned, Chevrolet Equinox redesigned this year as well. So I mean, two more who may not even be in those numbers because we've taken them out of the ratings because we're in the midst of testing or finishing testing on those or just got them in. So yeah, like you said, crazy competitive. I'll touch on something that might be a little weird though. So that's the numbers you gave, 81% of the vehicles recommended.
Yep.
So what does that mean for us here at CR? Does it mean time to reevaluate ratings? And we've had that in other categories. It used to be family sedans and large sedans. Now those categories are shrinking, though we recommend, I think, every family sedan. We're testing the Sonata now, Hyundai Sonata. But now that there's so many small SUVs, compact SUVs, what does that mean for our testing, our scoring?
I would do the counter. So when we set, here's what's required to be recommended. I think, yes, that scale, and we have upped that scale in the past,
certainly,
over time, but we apply that on the universe of cars. This just shows to me this class again is where everybody's putting their time, their money, their volume.
Yeah. It's so competitive. No one sleeps here in this segment where it just shows you how much attention's being paid, where it's just everything's so competitive that's the focus. Yeah. And not as much on the larger, sometimes whatever segments there's out there, but these high volume, it's just crucial to have, be that competitive.
Large pickups, there's no question there's volume there.
Sure.
But they're never going to meet the balance that these vehicles do.
Yeah, no,
so
definitely.
They're not going to be.
Any parking lot you look at. I mean, it's interesting. You look at where our plug-in hybrids, for example, playing. They're playing right in that segment for the most, most of the offerings in the SUVs. Not the bigger, and certainly not the subcompact. So certainly a competitive vehicle. Joe, if you want to wean yourself off the Jeep brand because you've bought a Renegade, a Compass, a Grand Cherokee, whatever. Your family's a Jeep, and there are a lot of people there. I'm a Ford guy, I'm a Jeep guy, whatever, gal. What would you say outside the Wrangler?
Before you leave, you have to buy a Wrangler. Then you can leave the Jeep brand.
Okay.
I think that's the whole point of
what do you do with your dogs?
Getting a Yeah. So, it's a tough one. Because I guess it's something you're going to have to just either give in. I think I'm just going to go with something, I don't know, you move into, you get a RAV or you get a CRV. There's not really, I don't think you need to think too much about it. I don't know. It's tough because it comes down to what your intentions were. Were your intentions to buy a Jeep, to have a Jeep? Or were your intentions to buy a Jeep Compass to have a small compact SUV? If that's the case, then you go for the RAV, you go for the Forester, you go for the CRV, even a hybrid variant if you're looking to save some fuel economy. But if you are looking for the Jeep experience, I say you go all in and you get a Wrangler and you really enjoy your, the misery and
the fun.
As much as I love it, the fun and the misery.
Right.
It's a Jekyll and Hyde. That vehicle doesn't come without big compromise.
Yeah.
And I think most of the owners that stick with them know that. And, I love the Wrangler.
Yeah, when we have a Wrangler, we had the Gladiator, super fun. Always glad to put the keys back on the wall.
Yeah.
After I have to drive on the highway or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Yeah. If you're going to stay with Jeep, I think you're okay now with this Compass. Yeah. If you're wanting to wean off of Jeep but stay in this segment, I would say go with something like an Equinox because I'm assuming you don't have the $44,000 for the for the RAV4 Prime.
Right.
So I would say Equinox, Sportage, Tucson.
I find it interesting with the, Jeep's always just been this, it's like off-road, wilderness, off-road, and everyone else will be like, supermarket, the mall, carry the kids around. And it's as if this Compass is like, okay, yeah, we have the version that can do that.
Yeah.
But the rest of this, it looks like it, but it's a little more of a, I want to say mainstream in the sense of it's not promising so much of that. Whereas Forester, RAV4, now they all have a wilderness, outdoorsy, whatever trim, as if they're like, okay, well, we're going to fill in there and go for that small little segment and try to pull away. So you could go for one of those, but is it a poser? If you go for the Forester top outdoorsy trim, or you're like, you just wanted a Jeep and you went with a Subaru. So online we have a first drive of the Jeep Compass, and it's getting in up to 2,000 miles, so it'll be in test soon. So hopefully in a few weeks, in a month, we'll have full ratings on it, and we'll see where it falls into that now 32 vehicle list of small SUVs. So this is the part of the show where we answer audience questions. The new thing that we've been doing is if you submit a question to cr.org/talkingcars and we choose it, you will get one of these swell shirts. Not the one off my back because it's a little old, but yes, we will mail you some CR swag. We will mail you a CR shirt. So send your questions by going to cr.org/talkingcars. Video questions, text questions, whatever the format that we'll accept. Anyhow, the first question we've got, who will get a t-shirt coming in the mail soon, is from Jerry.
Lucky Jerry.
Lucky Jerry. Jerry says, I recently purchased a set of new tires for my 2002 Toyota Echo and was offered siping, a process that involves cutting thin perpendicular slits into the tire tread to enhance traction in wet conditions. I am also told it can improve braking distance and handling when cornering. Even though I'd never heard of it, I went ahead and did it, but now I'm wondering if there are any downsides and if it can affect the tire manufacturer's warranty. So, Jerry, not only did I start at CR in 2002, so your Echo is as old as my tenure here. That's it. That's all I want to say. Yeah. Jen, what about siping?
So, gotta love the little Echo, member.
Yeah.
We used it for a child seat car for a long time. We had it, that little red Echo. It was cute.
I do recall.
So, Jerry, So typically this action of siping, which he's exactly right, it's the cutting into your existing tread of slits, additional slits or sipes, where we typically have heard the advantages is for winter traction, which is why people are doing it. You're getting more biting edge, which is enhancing your winter, both snow and ice grip. I haven't heard, Jerry, I'll be honest, the improvement in wet conditions. And nor have I heard an improvement in handling and quartering, because when you take that block, that rubber block, and you now cut into it, it is now a more squirmy rubber block. So that is going against handling and cornering grip or braking distance grip. So I just want to throw that out there. The other element, when you say, can it void my manufacturer's warranty? Certainly on a treadwear warranty. The good thing is typically not many people are making claims on their treadwear warranties. They're getting close to or what they wanted, unless they've done something like siping, unfortunately. In this case, that can alter it dramatically. I'm hoping that doesn't happen for you, Jerry, in the future. So I would say, if you're looking for enhanced winter, which it doesn't sound necessarily like that was what Jerry was after, get a winter set or an all-weather set if that's what you needed. On an Echo, it's not an expensive tire. What we were talking, maybe a 14-inch on that 2002 Echo. It's not the big investment that it might be on, say, a 20-inch or an 18-inch.
Yeah, I mean,
that comes on money, so many cars today. It is money. It is an investment. Get an inexpensive steel wheel, put the winter tire on it if you're keeping this car. I don't want to scare you, Jerry. You're probably fine. You probably will get some enhanced winter. I'm not sure where you live. But yeah, you have not voided any manufacturer warranty in terms of durability, but likely any claims to treadwear you would have. But and hopefully it gives you some benefit. But I would not expect that benefit in non-winter conditions.
Especially if it's an extra cost that they're gonna add on there,
Correct.
And it could
pay us to take rubber off your tire.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And especially, a much more affordable in the realm of tires.
Yeah.
It's almost as if that was a profit place just because it's such a low cost tire. Again, in the realm of tires.
And again, siping is intended to be a better value for getting winter grip than the winter tire investment, but I think there's more downsides than positives.
There you go, Jerry. Let us know if you can. Send us a little more information. It'll be interesting to find out, and particularly where you live. We're going to go to our second question. Jet from Bud Lake, New Jersey. I know Bud Lake because I grew up in New Jersey. I am 16 years old, and I just got my learner's permit. I don't take my test for my provisional license until next year, but I was looking at cars on the used car marketplace on cr.org, and I wanted any suggestions you might have. I was thinking of used cars that cost between $5,000 to $10,000, and I want it to be safe, reliable, easy to drive, easy to see out of, gets decent fuel economy, and is in decent shape. I was thinking of a small sedan hatchback or possibly a small SUV. Thank you for your help, and keep on talking cars. So while we can't help you necessarily with a decent shape, but certainly want to find something in decent shape, especially on a budget. Joe, we're going to go to Jen first, just because she handles so much of the teen car list.
I'm not offended.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, for Jet, we create every year a best cars for young drivers, and it really does leverage some of what Jet's saying here. These are vehicles that we work with the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, so safe, not just in safety aspects of our performance tests like braking and emergency handling, but in crash worthiness. These are cars that have become top safety picks by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety based on their crash performance, their accident avoidance performance. We combine that with our reliability data and performance data and create kind of this best of the best list. One key element, Jet, and I do want to say this regardless of whether you use our list or not, look for a vehicle with electronic stability control. If you get one safety feature, make sure it's that one.
Yep.
All of the vehicles in our lists have that. And why you see differences in model year from that list is because of the reliability data. These are the best of the best years for reliability. My pick for you, based on everything you listed, and because it has the most model years, so it should make your shopping easier, is a Toyota Prius. A used Prius, you can go anywhere from 2015 and forward, and it is on that list. 10 years to pick from. Hatchback, safe, reliable, and certainly great fuel economy.
Right. And we
not showy, but a great car.
And we went and looked at, and not a specific year, but we took a 10-year-old Prius that had, I believe, 200,000 miles on it. We did a tune-up, so we just did what the scheduled required maintenance was. Maybe an oxygen sensor, change the oil. And then we ran through our tests, and its fuel economy dropped by a mile per gallon.
Yeah.
Or something. It's on consumerreports.org. I didn't know Jen was going to suggest that, so I don't have that number in front of me. But if you look it up, the battery was still strong 10 years later.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people were shy of, the batteries are going to fail. Right. It has not materialized. The Prius batteries fail.
Yep.
Yeah, I did the testing, I think, on that.
Oh,
there you go.
That's right. Yeah. So it was someone, someone we were looking for. It wasn't our car. It was someone who just had one, and it was well maintained enough, and it did well. Joe, what's your suggestion?
Yeah. So I'd pick a 2014 Honda Civic, and I think that encompasses everything he's asking for here, as well as it's decent enough looking.
Are you saying my Prius is not?
Yeah. So if you wanna impress your friends,
don't
go with the Civic. But yeah, that's my choice. And honestly, after looking at that, I spoke with Jen and realized that it was one that's on the list. Yeah. So an actual 2014. So I stick with that.
It seems like that era is a really good era, because I was looking at the 2013 Mazda 3 or Toyota Corolla. Two options. I had two because I wasn't sure what you guys were going to choose.
I like Mazda 3. I really do.
That's an era where it was just super sporty to drive, but it also was big enough. It wasn't as slick. If you're not a teen, though, we do have lists that's a little more of a wider range, because again, $5,000 to $10,000. You used to be able to get a $12,000 new car. And a Nissan Versa or a Versa No. There were cars that were $12,000 new.
Yeah,
that's gone. Yeah. So if you want to look for something in that budget, you can find our used car lists at consumerreports.org, and we have best under $10,000, best under $5,000, because new car prices are still up in the $47,000, $48,000 range. It's crazy.
Yep.
Jet, hope that works for you. Let us know what you choose. And we're going to go to our final question. It's from Daniel, who's also going to get a t-shirt. Daniel says, I can't believe I've been watching Talking Cars for over 10 years. Neither can we. Still enjoying it. My question is, what is your favorite part of the test track? Sending a fun car through the twisties, hitting a 3-digit speed on the main straightaway, the rock hill? Seems like a playground for car enthusiasts. Joe, you're on the track a ton.
Yeah, I think
so. You have
he answered my question. So it's pretty much those three. And given, what vehicle you're testing, so manual transmission car.
Yeah, what are your cars?
Doing acceleration. Like recently we had the Mustang, it's a manual transmission, the Z, a manual, and doing acceleration testing on that's fun because it's a challenge. And, you get some wheel spin and yeah, it's a challenge. And, there's a bit of an adrenaline rush shooting down the straightaway.
When Joe comes by in that Mustang, wide open throttle, it literally sounds like an airplane.
There are cars, sitting in here, and especially with this big echoey room, you would hear the Corvette, you would hear that Audi R8 V10 that we had borrowed from Audi, some stuff like that you hear.
Then you have the Ford F-150 Lightning that you hear a rush of air just go flying down straight away, which that's a whole different experience, which sometimes it's pretty fun. Some of these EVs that do 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds flat, practically. And
Do you ever get a little, I'm a more fraidy cat, do you ever get a little nervous, or you really enjoy
the only time
speed?
Maybe during acceleration is sometimes we're pushing the straightaway where you're getting into braking because these EVs are going so fast. At the 500 meter where we stop, the test ends, right at that mark, you're going so fast, you're into the brakes where that starts to,
because it's 5,000-6,000 plus pounds you're pushing,
heavy, and you're really, you're applying some pretty heavy braking at that point. But so far they've put up with it. Other than that, then it's track handling, going around the handling course, and that's mostly. It's always fun to take any car around the course at its limit, even if it's a truck. It's kind of funny to see how things. Sometimes it's clumsy, or sometimes, they actually impress you. So that's always fun to do that. But it varies. Rock Hill, it's nice when you have like a cool SUV that rolls in. We have the Land Cruiser and vehicles that are designed for stuff like that. It's that's pretty fun. Not as enjoyable when you take a vehicle like a truck up it with low range that, it can make it up it, but it's not necessarily its purpose.
Sure.
It's capable, but that's not its purpose.
Jen?
It's similar, but to me, it's that it's not just a playground for enthusiasts, but it's a playground for testing. Like, there are so many things that our facility allows us to do in a safe, controlled, that so many other automotive journalists can never do, like a rock hill, like going full wide open throttle to a quarter mile, like things that you just can't do and you should never do on normal roads. And we get to do that every single day. And the other thing, when I first read the question, I'm like, it's really a beautiful place. Like, if you guys could step outside here today with the fall foliage and the trees, we're so spoiled of this balance of, we're in here typing and writing and doing child seats and all that some days. But when we can go out there, and we're typically out there in good weather, sometimes we're out there in the snow, but we're really fortunate. I feel really fortunate to have this balance. If you like outside, this is a great job and a great place to be.
So on top of that, one of the really interesting things, and I think we have it on our YouTube page, is that Kelly Funkhauser shot pictures of the northern lights that we had, because we have no ambient light around here at all, which is why you were doing the headlight testing.
We've had headlight engineers from the manufacturer say, we would kill to have this facility.
We don't have big spots and all that stuff. I remember Dave saying during COVID that he was here and there's like no planes flying over and it's eerily silent and dark, and then there's coyotes that come in through the fence line. There's deer that come in through, you go around the track and you just see deer out there just munching away. They're used to us. We're alert enough to watch for them. Right. So total park-like setting.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to be flippant and be like, the part of the track I like the best is when we bring the pizza truck out and park it outside.
Which we do sometimes.
It is, to Joy's point, I mean, I haven't gotten to drive on it nearly as much because we've ramped up so much of our testing. It used to be that it was it was a little more open. We weren't testing as many vehicles. We weren't doing ADAS.
pace
The pace. There's so many things going on at the same time. But I do remember we had a Porsche here and doing on the straightaway. I think it's like 160 something, and you getting to that 500 foot point. You're just like, that's a fence. It's not a catch fence like a racetrack.
Right.
It's not a sand trap. It's grass and it's wet. I remember that one, but also just little things like we've done Gymkhana. We've done autocross and stuff like that. The ability to do that is super cool as well. So, and the fact that we're able to do the street survival class with teen drivers, with young drivers, we have a facility that is safe and a facility that's big enough to do all that.
Right.
It's not a parking lot with light stanchions in the middle of it or something like that. So I think, those are all the cool aspects of it.
We just had a neat thing when Ryan and Gordon finished it. Like you say, the autocross, when they finished their tire wet handling, they left the wetted autocross really up and let other members of our team go out and just try it, because like you say, the cars go through quickly and there's more people who need them for different aspects.
Yep.
And not everybody gets to get in and experience some of that stuff like we used to in the past. So it's great.
That exact day, we were doing the Lexus GX first drive video.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to do that because we were using another part of the track. So it's an impressive facility. And,
It is.
To your point,
spoiled.
many manufacturers come and are impressed by it.
Yes.
So that'll do it for this episode. As always, if you want to get one of these shirts, you want to go to cr.org/talkingcars and submit your question. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.